Johnsburg, June 1st, 2021, regular meeting of the President of the Board of Trustees to order at 7 p.m. On the roll, Trustee Foreman.
Here.
Trustee Curry.
Here.
Trustee, yep, okay. Trustee Hagan.
Here.
Trustee Letzker. Here. And Trustee Clemstein.
Here.
Can we stand for the pledge, please? What's your name?
Bill.
Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
From the floor. Anyone from the floor? From the floor. Mr. Keel? No? You sure?
Awesome.
No dead deer or anything lately? Okay. Okay, entertain a motion on this agenda.
So moved.
We have a motion by Trustee Hagan, seconded by Trustee Frost. Anything discussion on the motion, anything that you'd like to hold? With there being none, Trustee Clemson?
Aye.
Trustee? Aye. Trustee Hagan? Trustee Frost?
Aye.
Trustee Curry?
Aye.
Trustee Foreman?
Aye.
Motion carried. President's report. I think you all had a profile for Mr. Christopher Myers, to appoint him to the D&G committee. I'd like your consent to do that. Tom, did you have a chance to look at it?
Yeah, I know Chris pretty well.
Okay. And there's no problem when you're in?
Not on my end.
Okay.
Happy to have.
Okay. If there being none, we'll put him there. New business. Is Lauterbach, they're gonna zoom in, right?
I should be back.
Okay.
She's not right.
Hello? We can't hear you yet.
Can you try speaking again?
Nope.
Nope.
Okay, who can read lips?
Just have her yell real loud.
Trustee Frost, can you read lips?
Yeah, right, yeah, right.
Oh, wait.
Only sometimes. That?
Can you hear us now?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
There we go. Sorry about that. Hi. Good evening. I am Dr. Jefferson with Lauterbach and Eaton, here to present the annual financial report for the fiscal ended April 2020. I do want to start by thanking Becky and Claudette for all of their hard work during the audit process. I know it's a very tedious process getting prepared for us to complete the audit, so we appreciate all the hard work that goes into preparing for us on your end, so thank you. As the board knows, an audit is required. Really, the goal of that audit is for us to be able to provide an opinion on the financial statements presented this evening. So we've done that. We have issued an unmodified opinion, which is a clean audit opinion. It's really the highest clean that we can issue. And it just means that the financial statements that are presented this evening are meticulously correct. I'm going to walk the board through those three major sections in that audit report, and I will point out some key numbers, and you guys did receive PDF version of this, but feel free to let me know if you have any questions on what I'm referring to. So as I mentioned, there's three major sections. Your first section is your introductory section. That's going to start on PDF page 6. And within this section, there's two really main things I want to point out. And that first one is the transmittal letter. So this is on PDF page 9. This is a nice non-financial letter written in management's words. You'll see how that put that together. It's going to talk through just some key information about the Village of Johnsburg. One of the cool parts of that is too, you'll see the major initiatives for the village as well. So just a nice non-financial introduction to the audit report. Additionally, on PDF page 14, you'll see that certificate of achievement for excellence in financial reporting that the village did receive for the fiscal year ended April 30th, 2019. It's a very prestigious award, speaks highly to the transparency of that audit report. And we have also submitted this 2020 report as well to the certificate program, and do anticipate the village will also receive that award again. That next section is the financial section, and that's going to start on PDF page 15. So this is where you'll find that opinion that I mentioned, the unmodified clean audit opinion on PDF page 17. And then probably one of the most important parts of the audit is your management discussion and analysis, which is going to start on PDF page 20. So this takes this very large report, it's about 130 plus pages, that really condenses it into 10 easy to read, easy to digest pages, and their summary of all of that financial information to follow. I'm going to touch on some of those key highlights and really just summarizes all the information that you need to know reading through those financials. Again, very easy to read, just about 10 pages, so a really important part of the audit report. Just to touch on some of those financial highlights, net position for the year, which just to remind the board, net position does include any of your long-term liabilities. So your long-term pension liabilities, your debt, it also does include capital assets as well. There was a decrease this year of $447,000. Ending at position of approximately 14 for mental funds for the village, which fund balance, there was an overall increase of approximately $152,000, of which there is actually unrestricted deficit balance of $304,000. To speak to the general fund specifically, there was an increase overall to surplus and fund balance of approximately $80,000, with ending fund balance of approximately $720,000. That next large section of the report is labeled Notes to the Financial Statement, starting on PDF page 44. I'm not going to go into that in too much detail. It's a really large, informative section that's going to include a lot of detailed information on the village's investments, capital assets, long-term debt summaries, as well as some of your benefit information as well. And that last section that I want to point out is your budget to actual within the financial section still, which starts on PDF page 96. And continues on to PDF page 102. This is going to show your budget versus actual comparisons for the year. And just again, to speak to the general, your operating funds specifically, just come in over budget for revenues as well as under budget for expenditures. Finally, that last section, which I think is a pretty neat section of the audit report, I will say, starts on PDF page 120, and that's your statistical section. So this section contains 10 years of trend information on a variety of topics. So you'll have property taxes, fund balance, major revenues and expenditures. And it's really just 10 years of information all in one place that you can see just on a few pages. So really neat place to see all 10 years of that trend information. Finally, we did, as part of the audit, review the internal control environment and do provide recommendations for any findings that we might have from the year. And while there were no significant deficiencies or disagreements with management, we did just have a few recommendations in our management letter. There were a few current recommendations, and you'll see those in that smaller report that was provided. That first one would be journal entry review and approval, and you'll see information on what the comment is, our recommendation, as well as management's response. Additionally, account reconciliations to be completed, as well as bank reconciliations not tied. And then just prior recommendations from last year that had updates for this year. The general fund still not being in compliance with that fund balance policy, the golf course still having a deficit fund balance, and then just a few funds, your land and building and your asset state funds are still over budget. So all in all, as I mentioned, no significant findings other than these just few recommendations that we had, but overall clean audit and unmodified audit opinion. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have at this time.
Anyone?
Thank you, that's very good.
Yeah, as always, great
Do you
job.
have anything to add?
No, I do not, thank you. I think if
Well,
anyone has
no.
any questions, as you, obviously you got the document late last week, it's very involved and thorough. If you have any questions as you have time to peruse it, please feel free to let me know.
Yeah, and then, and just to add, the
I
question,
think-
I've been through it a couple of times too, we've talked many times with
Yes,
the audit
we have.
as well.
The next thing to, okay, move on. Anybody? Anybody? Not this moment. See how easy that was? You're done.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jen. Thank you, Jen.
Thanks so much. Have a great evening.
You
Yep,
too.
you too. I didn't want to say it while she was on there, Sheila. I think we lose something by not having her come out.
Yes.
I really do. I think the person.
I would have liked, yeah, a little more focus on those page
Right,
numbers.
because you
spend
focus
a
on
minute.
those page numbers when she's here. You know,
Right.
you stop her and you focus on that stuff. I think we lose it with the Zoom thing. I mean, I don't like the Zoom thing, but I know we're trying to save our trip, but, and it's fine for this year, but I think next year I'd rather have her out here again. And then, we gotta make sure too that Scott gets a tablet so he can follow this stuff. I know Kevin, I don't know when Kevin will be back, but we were waiting to give Scott Kevin's tablet, I think.
Right.
They're not that expensive, let's get one if we got an extra one, you know, so Scott's not in the dark with some of this stuff either.
147 pages of audit.
Yeah.
You know, just to bring to your attention, to reinforce what she said, though, a really helpful part of it is that management discussion analysis, which is, you know, just more towards the front of it. It's about 10 pages long, and it really gives you a key summary of, you know, the key points within the audit. So if you don't want to have to go through every little detail in there and try to trace all the numbers, that provides you a really good summary.
Well,
And Claudia, they did offset this because of COVID, right?
They did.
There was some other things that had gone
Yeah.
on, and there's a lot of discussion back and forth, so, because they weren't able to come in like they usually did, and sit down in the
Correct.
boardroom and go through everything, so.
Which is also why they're here now. Normally they would be here in, you know, like November, December.
Correct.
Presenting to you.
so, thanks Becky,
Okay.
too, getting the hang of it, you know. Learning how it all goes, right? Takes some time.
That's right, a lot to it.
Lot to it, really. Any other questions for Claudette or Becky?
Overall, you're happy with the way it went? I mean, just the results and the feedback that we got?
Yeah, it was, I think for everybody involved, it was a more tedious process this year, having to do it remotely. You know, you really do, like you guys talked about losing something by not having her here, and being able to have that direct access to questions as you're kind of paging through it. Same thing for us, you know, as they're going through our documentation that we're providing them when they come in, because they're normally here almost a week at different stages.
Yeah.
You know, then going back and forth via email, you know, can you provide us this, and, yeah, it's not the same as having them here,
The
so we
remotely
welcome
thing where
the change this
they're
year.
pointing you out and they're in the room and they got it spread out in the conference room and
Right.
they're asking you questions. It just doesn't work as well, I don't believe. And I mean, Claudette went back and forth with them a lot,
Yeah,
on different
we
things.
did, a lot of
So
time
did
spent
Becky,
this year.
you know, so, there was a lot more time spent, I think, than even when they just come out late. It's all out there and you can ask the question, you know, you understand it a lot better than.
Claudette, do you always deal with the same people from this company?
Yeah, for the most part, the lead person is, they'll have a lot of other people that'll be working on it, but we usually deal with the same couple of lead people and have for a few years now. So they become intimately involved in our figures and, you know, all the data, and that is helpful.
Yeah.
I'm happy to say that they are coming out this year. We already had the first meeting last week, their preparation.
We're actually
meeting.
behind, you know, right?
Not this year, last year. Yeah,
This year, we're gonna be on time.
This year, we're
Going
on top
into
of
this
it,
year.
yeah.
The
They
last
were
year
already
was-
out last week doing preliminary work.
Pardon me?
They were already out last week doing some preliminary work, so.
Yeah, for fiscal year '21.
in a better
I just think that chasing, it's just like at work, if you're not there and somebody shows you it, you know what I mean? I mean, that you're
Visual
probably
learner.
realizing it was school teaching.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, how do you show somebody how to do it when you're not there? You know, I mean, they got it all spread out in the conference room, they ask you a question or Becky a question, it's just easier, and that's why I'm glad, you know, that next year she'll be out, so.
yeah,
It's just
we're
faster.
happy
It makes
about
you-
that this year.
It makes you tired going through all this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Because it just takes so long for each thing to get answered.
Right.
So, yeah, it'll be
And
fun.
when it goes on for such a long period of time, you have to revisit it in your mind. You're like, okay, wait a minute, we talked about this 3 months ago. Where were we
Yeah.
at?
Okay.
Okay. Claudette, you want to talk about the move to approve the amendment to fiscal policies? Just address it a little bit, what we're thinking.
As Jennifer has indicated, you know, when they do the one section, which is their management letter, where they identify some recommended internal controls that we can put in place, one of the recommendations was to incorporate just a second review of journal entries. And so we agree, we think that that's helpful. It helps eliminate and identify any like miscodings early on before they hit the system. So we basically have a fiscal policy change in front of you that recommends exactly that, you know, this is a way that it's going to proceed. It'll be entered in prior to it being actually posted to the system. Then I will review it to make sure that the journal entry is posted correctly. So we're recommending.
It's just another step really of a review.
Yeah, exactly.
It's another step of review, but I think it will help.
Absolutely.
Because there's no way, you know, I think a lot of that's because we got Benny here and different help that, you know, you've got time to do that. Not that you have a lot of time and not doing nothing, but before it was just that trying to review all that stuff was almost impossible because, you know, you can only do so much. So I think that step's really important.
Exactly. So yeah, if you guys would take action on that tonight, we appreciate it. If you don't have any other questions.
So, do we have a motion and a second, or is there questions on that?
I'm looking at the document right now.
And I'll make a motion.
Yeah.
Okay. Motion by trustee Lumsden, seconded by trustee Letzker. Discussion on the motion. Any other discussion on the motion? Becky, would you like to add anything?
No.
It's your world there. With there being none, trustee Foreman.
Aye.
Trustee Curry. Trustee Frost. Trustee Higgins. Trustee Letzker.
Aye.
And trustee Clemstein.
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, let's move to approve contract with American Eagle for digital marketing services. Let's have a motion, a second, and then Josh will present it before we vote on it and have further discussion. So that motion by trustee Frost, seconded by
Second.
trustee Foreman. Okay.
Yeah, so sorry, I missed the last one. That was the night of the high school incubator program, their pitch night, which is really, really cool. So next year, if it doesn't overlap again, I suggest you guys get out there and watch it. This is the first time we did it in person. Last year we did it on Zoom and it was terrible. That was great. So anyways, so with this marketing program, so I'm sure you guys saw the proposal on the last one. Kyle and I did talk this last week too about the Woodstock, the agency that's working with Woodstock on a much larger scale, but I really feel that this company does, I mean, they're a large company, they know what they're doing, and they're well suited with the examples that they gave us for municipalities. Now, we're smaller than a lot of their examples in terms of being, you know, them marketing for the overall village versus them marketing for particular portions of a village, park districts or libraries and things. But the program that they put together, I think, is really going to be helpful in increasing awareness and really getting people to see that Johnsburg is here. We've always kind of been stuck between a couple different big venues, and I feel like we kind of get lost in the middle. So this will help us to really get out in front of people that are searching for the things that we have to offer, the small town feel, the waterfront, the different events that we have. All these things will show up with the work that they're going to do on internet searches, and hopefully get some people here. And again, it's kind of the chicken and the egg scenario, what comes first? Well, I think we need to get the people here before the development is really going to kickstart as well. So, again, I work with this company in my business, and they've done a fantastic job for me. I mean, they really are very, very thorough. They're very good at follow-up, and I'm very impressed with their services. So I hope that they'll do the same for us here.
Do you want to go over some of this stuff?
I mean, these are just examples that they sent us.
Yeah, these are their references, Oak Park, Park
Yeah, I saw
District, Park Ridge, Public Library, they kind of developed their website with them. And then Bridgeview in regards to municipality, obviously more population in Bridgeview, but they have some good references.
And for us, it's not so much going to be website work for the forward-facing site for what the public sees. It's more going to be work on the code of the site so that it plays better in Google searches for one, and then the other is they're going to do a lot of work with our social media. We have a really good social media following, but they're not very engaged because we just don't put that much out there. So they're going to help do that, which again, if that's how people are going to find us, that's going to be the way. So it's going to be it's not going to be that they're engaging conversation with residents necessarily. I mean, they certainly don't want to get involved with that, but this will be them putting content out there that will show up when people are looking for these certain keywords that we're trying to find, and it just keeping the information fresh, because that's really what Google and their search results are looking for, is current information and relevant search results to whatever a person's looking for. So, again, in terms of what you see on the website now, that won't change too much. There's going to be some content that they put in there. It's going to be similar to what they put on our social media pages. Articles, information about Johnsburg, things like that. But that will just, again, that's one component in this multifaceted approach to try and increase your results.
Josh, how do we measure the tools? A lot of my stuff, I do a lot of marketing stuff in my industry, but how are we have Google Analytics, or how are we going to actually use this to understand where the money's being spent and the return we're going to receive? That's my biggest question.
Great question.
Yeah, so they do use Google Analytics extensively.
Okay.
And they also, what they do for me, and I'm sure they will do it for us with this too, is they take the Google Analytics data and put it into their own program. And then I have a monthly, I mean, with my account manager, which if I understand is going to be the same account manager that we have here, but I talk to her probably once a day, at least, just emails, but she gives me a presentation once a month about our goals, the goals that we've set, the goals that we're trying to accomplish, the results that we've seen, the results compared to the previous period, whatever it may be. And they will go over all those things, and again, work with us to try and figure out what exactly we're looking to achieve with this. So they will take that data and convert it into a report that will give us our results for what we're looking for. Sure. And then they'll track those results.
So that's my follow-up question. What are we looking for?
For the goals.
What are the goals?
At this point, it's awareness. I mean, we're starting. We've had a website for a long time, but again, there's not a ton of content there for people outside of Johnsburg. For people inside that are looking for something specific that they need to come to us for, that's one thing. That's there. That works pretty well. This is for, again, getting out there, getting people more aware. It's marketing. I mean, at the end of the day, it's marketing. So we're trying to get more people aware of Johnsburg, what we have to offer.
Will we target businesses in Johnsburg? Will we target activities, community events?
It'll be mostly community events. It'll be
Articles.
information about the area, and then just kind of like articles about the things that we have to know.
Are you going to be getting with the school at all to try to get some input from the school side that also reflect this?
I don't think that would be included with this.
No, just simple
contract, but
statistics like the school, the
Oh, yeah.
size, ratings we have, if the school district's doing good.
Yeah.
Just to draw people and they look and research Johnsburg.
Mhm.
That's what got me back here. like 3 years.
Yeah.
I told my wife, actually my wife, Ringwood and Bush, I'm like, they're ranked top 5 in the state.
Yep.
She's like, wow, let's go back home.
Well, they go beyond, you know, I recently, at the end of the year, did a crafting activity with my 8th graders on social media platforms, and Facebook doing a nosedive, Instagram's doing a nosedive as far as who's accessing it.
Mhm.
TikTok, huge.
I don't think TikTok,
TikTok.
Twitter.
So they said Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok was not the ideal place to get followers.
right, and
It doesn't
again,
build
you know,
your search engine.
you're looking at different demographics though too.
Well, this was just media use across, you
Oh,
know,
sure.
the board. It wasn't targeted at middle schoolers, but is Facebook our best audience? I mean, are there other avenues other than those obvious ones that they will consider?
I think
Getting content out.
again, for the content that we're trying to put out, that Facebook and Instagram will be still our best.
That's our,
Yeah.
Possibly.
Because
do we have a Twitter feed?
I don't know about that, but possibly like YouTube videos. Videos are big. I mean, anything on Facebook videos, Instagram, those things are really pulling in a lot of, like, you look at things.
And they can do that, that's not included here. I mean, that's, you know, that's, to create a video like that is a project that
Yep.
is.
Josh, you're
very
saying
cool.
you're currently using them now?
I use them for my business,
For your
yes.
personal. Was there someone you had prior to them? What do they do better than, say,
Great
companies?
So again, in my, comparing it to my business, and my business's use is different because you know, I'm all product-based, so that's, it's not a direct comparison, other than to say I'm familiar with the company. But in terms of what they've done for my business, and what I can say for the company, is that I used a small web developer out of Gurnee, and she was fine. I mean, she developed a nice site for us, but it just was not working very well. So I wanted to try and find somebody local. They're in Des Plaines, and I had them do some redesign of my site, and that was you know, that was an investment in and of itself. But what they really wanted to get it and do was, again, do work on the back end of the site, the stuff, the code, the stuff that you don't see. But that's what Google uses to try and find the most relevant information. So, I mean, since I started with them, and I think it was 4 or 5 years ago, my site is about 10 times larger than it was. I mean, across all metrics.
Is there a way to count? Do they give you a count of, you know, who's visiting?
Oh, yeah, I mean, they can, and again,
That's part of that.
it's one of those things that's really scary when you find out what they can, the information they can give you, but yes, you'll get user data, you'll get where they're coming from, how long they're on the site, what pages they went to, why they went to this page versus this page.
And who's going to get that in the village? Who's going to be the contact person for that?
Feeding them the information and stuff, right?
Yeah, who's going to feed it and who's going to receive it, I guess, or?
As I understand that Vinnie really wanted this setup to work, is that they will create the content and then send it to us for approval. So it's not going to be other than approving it prior to it being
Because that's
posted.
generated.
He's not the one generating the content.
Gotcha.
And then in terms of reporting, I mean, again, somebody's going to have to.
Is that something they'll share with us, the way once a month or once a quarter?
Yeah, right, I get a weekly report, and again, I have 2 websites, so I get a weekly report every week, just real quick, bullet points, how are we doing on the goals versus previous week. And then I go into a more in-depth conference call with them once a month. And then once a quarter, we have like an hour to 2 hour long conference call where we really hammer into the real specific details about what's working, what's not working, what do we need to change, where else should we be looking.
I think marketing is very important, but I think we have to be good at targeting what we want to come of it at the same time.
So what we kind of looked at in my committee was that we participated in Visit McHenry County, that single page booklet. The booklet that they put out every year.
That they're not putting out.
They're not putting out. I mean, that was an issue afterwards, but we were spending $5,000 a year on that single page, which was beautiful. I mean, nice pictures, nice write-up. It listed all the events, but I feel that, and my committee felt that just did not get as much in terms of results. That booklet is distributed outside of McHenry County. You know, again, trying to bring Cook County and Lake County people into McHenry County to see the things that are going on here. But it just, for $5,000 did not really get us much. I don't know that it got us anything really other than, you know, maybe a little bit more exposure. Yeah. Whereas this is much more target. Now, again, we're obviously talking more money. We're talking $15,000. It's a month-to-month contract. And it's going to take a year. I mean, we can't really try this for 3 months and say, well, this isn't working. We can't. Without having more comparison data, it's hard to tell if you're getting the results that you want. But this
There's
would be
no toes in the water, we're diving in.
Yeah. I think we need to do it for at least a year to really see if it's going to work. If after a year.
We got to try different things. I mean, if the 5,000 was, you know, a big step then, we thought that was a lot. I mean, if the 15,000 works, we tried for a year and it doesn't work, you know, I guess you jump in and try it. And you got to give some time for it, like you said, if you don't
Is
give
it
it at
year-long
least
now?
a year, I don't think you're, you know.
Generally, they don't like to compare anything other than year-over-year
Yeah.
results, because you need to look at the same time of the year, you need
Right.
to look at the same.
We might need more than a year even.
But by a year, we will have a good idea of what we're looking at.
That's the best question, you know, you're targeting for your business, and that's strictly a profit run type thing. What is the Village of Johnsburg's goal to just,
Right.
it's not to say, oh, we have 5,000 hits a week, you know, great, you know, is that what we're looking for? Or are we, I guess what are we trying to target that people's relatives are gonna go on and look at this? I mean, what are we trying to accomplish out of this, or get from it?
Again, from my committee's perspective, our target here is getting more recognition for our village versus other local areas, right? And, you know, how the reports are going to look, I'm not sure, because again, that's not how my reports that I'm familiar with look. But they, like I said, it's scary the data that they can pull from your internet search history and what you do and the actions that you take based on what you click on. So we will be able to get a good idea of how the results are going to work. And overall, what I think we're trying to accomplish here, like I said, is to increase awareness of the village, increase awareness of the events that we have going on, what we have to offer, and why they should come here versus going to McHenry. You know, or Fox Lake, or Antioch, or anybody else that, you know, kind of has the same relative amenities that we offer. So it's about driving recognition of those people that are looking for those things and making sure that they see us over somebody else.
How was this presented to your committee, Josh? I mean, through,
They gave me the
PowerPoint?
proposal,
Okay.
and then, yeah, it was
A PowerPoint
yeah,
type thing?
essentially PowerPoint. And then Vinny and I had a conference call with Tim, who is their, I believe it's whatever division this is. So they gave us a presentation about what they're going to do, and again, a lot of Vinny's questions were centered around what's going to actually be posted out there so that we don't get ourselves into trouble with something that we didn't approve, which is a very good point.
So, Vinnie, what are your
Honestly,
comments on it after talking with Josh and Tim? You said it was
Tim.
right?
So this was a rendering baby step in regards to marketing. Obviously, the goal is when someone starts typing in waterfront to where Johnsburg comes up on the Google search engine. So there's going to be articles that reference that to build us up on the search engine. Eventually, when you start clicking on these articles, I'm not saying they'll embed a hyperlink, but that will increase us. So the minute you start typing waterfront properties Illinois, we want to be towards the top of the list. So then it gets people to go to our website and look up Village of Johnsburg, and then we get more followers. I've never encountered marketing firms. We're not selling a product, we're selling a village in regards to getting people to come and develop in this area, whether it be businesses or residential homes. So I would have to say that it's probably a better strategy than what was in the Visit McHenry County magazine that I don't think anybody reads anymore, and they haven't updated it since 2018. It's the same page.
You have to have bathroom material to read, you know.
I think everyone uses their phone and watches
Yeah.
TikTok videos, and then you click on the link, and
Claudette, you were in on that conversation also?
Yeah.
I mean, is there some concerns that you have you know, how we would do it that we couldn't do?
No, you
The
know,
information we get to them, that they're gonna do better than we would do in-house or ourselves. I mean, I'm just trying to find out a way, you know, how are they gonna get the information that they know more than we do?
I think they have an expertise that we don't have. I think we'll work closely with them, obviously, so that they get a real feel for what our community is all about. I like the idea that whatever they put together, there is a review, you know, it's not just being put out there, that we're kind of taking a look and seeing what's being put out there, but I do think they have some resources that they can reach that we can't, and abilities, especially in light of, you know, our goal being that we get more representation out there on the internet. People are finding Johnsburg far more easily than McHenry, Cary, or whatever else in the community, just because what they're helping to put out there to build that.
Yeah, their hours, I think, are much more impactful.
Right.
It's 10 hours, but we would be getting 10 hours of time every month. And their hours are much more impactful than anything that anybody that I know could do.
I still think we have to be very specific about what we want to target. Do we want more home purchases in Johnsburg? Do we want to showcase our businesses? Do we want to showcase our schools? If we just say, hey, make us look better, how do we ever measure that?
Right.
But we can measure if home sales increase, we can measure if there's more people visiting our businesses or renting boats in our town. So I think we have to be very targeted, what we want them to do for us, not just kind of make it easy and just blanket, make Johnsburg come up on Google searches.
Right.
Even though there is something to that, you know, they all have those, they have that inside move how that happens, but.
So I agree with what Beth said. I know me and you talked a lot about this, that former company that I was looking at. So I have a friend who sits on the Woodstock board, and they hired this marketing firm, and the first thing they want to do is brand themselves. If you ever go to Woodstock's website, it's like Going Red or something. They branded their town, and with that, the main thing they were looking at was to get more business in and to come to all the attractions they currently have, the square and everything. Those were the two focus points. You know, I feel, you know, I know we're just starting to talk about this right now, but I agree. You know, there's a lot we can promote, and we got to choose wisely of which direction we want that we can focus. You know, have the link that shows our available sites, sewer and water, you know, stuff like that. You know, see if they got other people that they know, investors, architects, someone that'd be willing to, you know, they can push towards us and say, look what Johnsburg's got to offer.
And they, again, for me, we will set up a calendar, generally at least a quarter, if not 6 months at a time, of the different goals that we're trying to target. And every month or every week, you know, I send out an email, and we try to go after these individual things, these specific things that we're trying to target. So yeah, it's not just going to be like a free for all, like just get us people. No, it's going to be more targeted. Yeah. And again, they will hold our hand and help us, tell us what we want to be targeted, because, you know, we don't.
Go ahead, Rick. Yeah, so, Josh, where we're getting to that, I think everybody's asking a great question. So is there going to be like a Google ad budget? So you're going to talk about the Sticky Bay, that's what kind of what Beth's going after. Then you talk about the boathouse and everything else too. That helps drive awareness with the ad campaign, so it brings you up higher in the Google Analytics search, where we're going to be way lower right now before we get those hits initially get up. So we're going to boost it right away to get up. I mean, there's more strategies we need to involve with this than tonight. We're getting into this detail.
Their suggestion initially is that we do not do Google advertising. We could do a little bit maybe,
Okay.
but not much. I think they, in the proposal, said $100 to $200 a month.
Okay.
So
Organic.
now it's going to be more about concentrating on organic search
Organic,
results,
okay.
and making getting that content out there, making those changes that are going to, again, increase the organic results, not the ads.
You know, this COVID thing over the past year has sort of screwed, I think, everything up as far as moving forward and getting things done. and we're even talking about zooming, the audit tonight, it wasn't like personal, like where, you really get the questions that click in your head. If I wouldn't have went over with Claudette, I'd be lost, okay, to be honest with you, okay? But is there over a year ago, we had a strategic planning meeting, we were going to have a follow-up with Granny. We couldn't do it because we couldn't even meet, okay? So, is there an advantage to having that follow-up just to see what points came out of that strategic planning meeting before, the idea is that all these people got together and wrote down and put on paper that
Those
may
would
be
be good guiding
beneficial and guidance for
Mhm.
Josh and Vinny, and meeting with these
Great
people.
idea.
So I really think we need that follow-up meeting, we've talked about it, but, she couldn't come out, and we couldn't have it, and we couldn't get the group together, and I think we want to review that. I think there'd be an advantage to see what came out of that, the bullet points that she put together, the reports that she put together, and maybe that would help.
We have that report, right?
Yes.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say,
thank you.
Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
we got it.
But I think
So-
we ought to have her here to just go over that, maybe, and see.
have her reiterate to the board.
Reiterate to the board what those, those things that stuck out that people thought were really important. I mean, I'm all for trying it myself, okay, because you gotta try stuff. I
Right.
mean, okay, right now, Beth mentioned, are we targeting more home builders? Well, right now, we would like to see some growth with home builders, okay? I mean, the schools are not in a position where we gotta build more brick and mortar. We have brick and mortar, it's not like we're gonna fill them up, and we need bodies in the schools right now. So, I think that's a major thing, home building is going on pretty good again, and what are the products we got to offer, I mean, Greg knows from talking to Krogan and Kim Meyer that, that we're trying to get products that, are affordable for maybe some move up from houses here, or move up from maybe people here that retire and go into even the new old age targeted center, and maybe they buy a townhouse, or buy, that we have different markets. But we definitely, I think, need something for the young people, because, people that have kids and high school kids, maybe, but there's not the people that are just gonna come, that are starting a family, that can go to Dutch Creek Estates, or, the home market that we got, they're all $400,000, now, probably. So,
Greg's gone.
yeah, yeah, he just sold one in our neighborhood for $1.2 million in 2 days, so I mean, but anyways. And it's a summer home, I understand.
Secondary buyer, that's correct.
Wow, so, we probably all want to talk to Greg after the meeting tonight, so, anyways. But, I think we do want to target different things. I think we need that, go over that report with Franny and the strategic planning, maybe get some ideas from it. But I'm all for trying it, because I think we should be marketing that, and we have a lot of land out west there that could be, more industrial. You got, and is it time to, even talk to the Metro people? You got 3,000, or what is it, going across from your old pit there, 3,500 homes?
3,700 homes.
3,700 homes, it's right on D.R. Horton's website right now.
Right.
And
Another great.
3,700 homes, and they think that's going to be D.R. Horton, because it's their next Pingree Grove, I heard, okay? Well, they've been building them Pingree Grove for 10 years like crazy, okay? But it's right along 90. And, maybe it's time to revisit some of that Metro stuff and see if we could get that out there, because that's right down the Collin Lake Road in our village, where that kind of stuff would maybe, they could hop on a train and get there, I think the transportation's a big part of this.
Just thinking of years down the road, not now, I know you don't have the answer, I'm not pressing you for that. But we as a village would be spending the 15 large as a village right now. Do you think somewhere down the road, we could say, this company, that company, and that company would contribute to that? Say we promote your businesses? there's 2 restaurants and he rents boats and
Possibly, again.
I know you
we can
can't,
just,
I'm just thinking-
This is our program to direct, so I don't see why not. But, at this point, essentially, we're not doing any marketing.
Yeah.
Right? And just like with a product or with a service or whatever, how do you expect people to find you if you're not putting yourself out there, right? I mean, we're a small town, and it's not like we don't have anything
We
huge
don't have a lot of
here that brings people in immediately like some other neighboring town. So we need to work a little harder to get the eyeballs, but I certainly think it's possible, and I certainly think we have enough things here that will drive further development because of what we have to offer, and because it's a small town.
But even like yesterday, the parade was so well attended, we didn't know how that was gonna go down, because I was kind of planning at the last minute to get it going because of COVID, but that showed really strong hometown spirit, and you could show that online to developers and/or businesses coming in.
That's something that we see every day.
Yeah.
We kind of take it for granted that every single day we see the same people, and it's a wonderful place to be. But how do we get that to other people so that they can feel the same way?
And how we can maintain that feeling too. Like we have to be cautious.
Yep.
I mean, I didn't move to Lake in the Hills in 1998 for a reason,
Rooftops?
Yeah, exactly. Randall Road. But, I'm all, I like the idea of the marketing and development, and, it's fed my family with development, so I'm all for it, but, I just feel caution.
Identify what
How to
it
go
is.
about it.
Again, we need to do that work. We need to identify what we're looking for exactly, so that we can target our marketing plan to
And
match
the
that.
information from our,
Right, using that information. I mean, that's,
And we've all, said, I think all of us said it's controlled growth.
Yeah.
How do you control it, how do you bring stuff in, and I think that's the marketing plan that you're talking about.
it's not, I don't want it to be a free-for-all.
No, you definitely don't want a lake in the hills like Randall Road and boom, it's there, I don't think. We want that.
Right.
I don't want to speak for everybody else, but I don't think any of us want that.
But we know that
But
there's
we do
opportunity there.
know that we got brick and mortar, and we do know that the schools need some kids. Anybody want to say anything else? Scotty? Anybody's thoughts? Did we take a motion in a second before discussion, right?
we did.
We did.
We
We
did.
did, so. With no further discussion on the roll, trustee Foreman?
Aye.
Trustee Curry?
Aye.
Trustee Cross?
Aye.
Trustee Hagan?
Aye.
Trustee Letzger?
Aye.
And trustee Flimstein?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay. I think we all need to have, we've had some discussion with the county on everybody's probably asking you, and we probably all are getting different answers of the Riverside Drive and Johnsburg Road Bridge that is, why it wasn't rebuilt when all this road was rebuilt, but I think Claudette's got a good update. She's been in contact with the county board. She can give us a review of what's been happening. We've talked to Pam Eltoff has asked us about it, and we've supplied her with information that we've been told. And I know everybody's probably asking what those things are in the middle of the road. Well, it's because the bridge is getting worse. And Scott, you probably got more expertise in this than all of us.
Okay,
Well,
so,
it's never going to get better.
back in about 2018, it was when it first came to Frank's attention that there was some beams that were beginning to fail underneath the bridge. You guys will recall that initially, they had done some axle weight limits to accommodate the, try to reduce the load in that, especially as it was deteriorating toward the center turn lane. And then shortly after that, we saw the markers going up, and that was to try to shift some of the weight from the traffic off of one of the more greatly impacted beams. What I just passed out to you was, if you kind of try and visualize what Vinnie's got up on the board there, you could see some of the notations of the different beams and the locations where
Mr. Keel, will you hit
more
the lights, please?
deterioration. And these hashed marks that you're seeing on the drawing that I just handed out to you indicates the areas of stress that are receiving more and more wear. And obviously, the greater they are, the worse they are. What's occurred more recently, since that first inspection came up showing that there was, problems that were starting to develop, they started having to review and inspect the bridge every 6 months rather than every 2 years. And more recently, one of the inspections indicated that there was even, the deterioration was happening at a greater rate than they had expected. You recall right before winter, they put the barrels up, they were basically limiting the turn movement down to just a short little stacking section right by the intersection because they were trying to keep weight off of that affected area. What they're saying now at this point is that they need to further restrict that center turn lane, and they're actually going to completely eliminate it to keep the weight off of those more greatly affected beams. In addition, there are some deterioration that's occurring on the outside in the eastbound and westbound lanes, but it's not as great, so they're not as concerned about that. They have moved this up and are moving forward with getting requests for qualifications to do phase 1 engineering on this project to move forward with a complete bridge replacement. But I will tell you that they're saying that just to go through that process means it'll likely not be until 2025 before this bridge will be finished.
Holy cow.
So, I think we need to look at this in 2 stages. First, the initial change of eliminating the left turn lane. What you see up there in this diagram, you see they have like no left turn signage that they put up there. That's not what they're going to be doing at this stage. Initially, that's what they thought was going to be the best result, was just to eliminate all left turn movement going on to Riverside Drive from the westbound traffic. We, after a couple of calls with them, said, look, we really would prefer that you try to take a different interim step because we feel people are still going to turn left there, whether you have a sign there saying you can't do it or not. So what we discussed was that there was a way that we could allow more westbound and left turn traffic to move before the eastbound traffic would move. They already sequenced those lights. You probably have noticed that since they've shortened that turn lane, that more westbound traffic moves before they give the go-ahead to the eastbound traffic. They looked at that alternative. We thought people could still turn left from the westbound lane. But what they said was it creates more backup in that westbound lane. What is a better alternative is they allow all westbound and left turn movement to go and then completely shut down that traffic and then allow the eastbound movement and any turn going into Johnsburg Farm to go. And if any of you guys have ever come out of the township park, where the old NAYC used to be, and that's exactly how it's done now. If you've ever noticed, if you're sitting at Johnsburg Road and there is somebody sitting over there by the moose, they allow that to move before they go ahead and allow Johnsburg Road to move. We believe that is a good, interim step before you go to completely closing down that left turn lane. But one thing you guys do need to be aware of, and if you turn to the next pages that I gave you, is it's likely going to create some additional time sitting there before you get signal to go because you're waiting for this movement to happen from the other direction. The first page there, you see the westbound traffic on the first exhibit that I have on top there. That's about the length that they're saying of the stacking that occurs when that light turns red, okay, at the current time. Now, if you look below, that's about the stacking length that you're going to see happen if they go ahead and implement this change. So, yes, you're talking about probably another minute worth of sitting there. To some people, that seems like an eternity when you're sitting waiting for the traffic light. But the alternative is to not be able to turn left at all from that direction, from the westbound lane. And then if you flip to the next page, it shows you the same thing for eastbound traffic coming from Route 31. The upper exhibit shows you how it currently is, and the lower exhibit shows you what we can expect. And, once again, a little bit, about 70 seconds of additional wait time there when this takes place. I think the thing you guys have to understand is no matter what, that left-bound turn lane is getting shut down, it has to. It's reached a point where they've got to completely eliminate weight from that lane, from those beams. So what we told them we would do is to come back and talk to you guys about it. Our recommendation is to take this interim step that I've shown you and to at least see how that works, see if it doesn't create any additional issues or, much greater wait times than we're expecting, and kind of monitor it and determine if some other changes need to be made. But we didn't want to take this step without you, because they didn't want to take this step without you guys being aware of it, getting some input and some thoughts. They will actually be, it will not just be a barrel sitting out there. They will be shutting down that lane so that you cannot get in that lane. They will be putting in infrastructure improvements to prohibit you from getting in there. So their timeline is they expect that to be done and in place by the end of this month.
Well, with making that change as you're heading eastbound and traffic's backed up closer to the top of the hill, is that a concern?
It does.
Like if you're coming over the hill.
Yeah.
Right, and I'll
People are
right there.
closer,
Driving up Johnsburg
stop.
Road.
Okay, I'm sorry, say that again?
As you're coming up
Hamburger
over the
Hill.
hill,
Yep.
there's gonna be cars stopped closer to you than overall used
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point. You may be coming up over that hill and all of a sudden like, wow, there's a car right there. I don't know if they may need to implement some type of, there's signals that they put out on Route 12, where there's
Right.
lights flashing, or, people
There.
get stopped.
Yeah.
That might be something that they have to do, flashing light, watch for background traffic. But that's a real good point. I'll certainly raise that.
Also, the grade, Glenn tried to, speak on the direction of the grade in wintertime, is going to be.
Sure.
Too, because if it's icy in there, you're definitely going to go into other cars if you have a backup, because it's the way you have to brake hard to get into that situation on that.
Right. Yeah, and definitely, winter conditions are something they're gonna have to look at. At the same time, you kind of have that. I mean, if it's ice, and you're coming down that hill, and there's 3 cars sitting there versus 5 cars
Really
sitting
playing on
there.
brakes, if you ever
Yeah.
see it, you're not used to that. And then the last, off this question is, when does the bad question asked, but when does it fail? When did if we didn't
Well,
do this, when does it fail?
and
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
That's my question now, I mean,
And
we're going to be challenged as a community, ask that question.
And that's a very
so.
good question. And my comment to them when this subject first came up was, let's discuss the worst-case scenario here,
Right.
because, and I don't think anyone likes to do that, but we have to be prepared for that. What's going to happen if we continue to see deterioration occur here? What steps are going to be taken? Knowing the traffic that intersection takes, this is not like a bridge out in the country that sees, 1,000 cars a day, and you could shut it down, there's an easy detour route. I mean, it would have some significant impacts. I can't sit here and tell you that they're not gonna have to shut that down between now and 2025, or when it can be built. That's a real possibility.
Yeah,
I mean, what happens if that bridge fails in 2023?
right, that's my.
It will be
What
shut-
if it just collapsed?
It will be shut down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, plain and simple, it
you're
will
gonna
be
have
shut
to
down.
start
It will be shut
everything.
down, and they will have to put in a detour. And
They didn't say anything about stopping trucks first, or things like that, heavy, high volume.
There's a weight limit now.
They said at this point, the elimination, absolutely. There's maybe some additional restrictions that are gonna have to be put in place in terms of just the eastbound, westbound traffic too, just to prevent that from deteriorating further. But, like Ed had said, we've been talking with Pam Altoff, she's aware of it, she's aware of our concerns regarding the length of time they're expecting this to take. And in my own discussions with their engineer, my understanding is that's just the process. That's how long it takes to get through phase 1, phase 2, environmentals.
She thinks it's unreasonable. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what she's told us. She says it's
I'm just saying, if
unreasonable.
that fails, they will shut it down.
Yep,
And you're gonna have to go out Chapel Hill Road or Piney,
Yeah, Pioneer
when it
Road
gets to
or-
that point, it's done.
yep, you're absolutely right.
And do they have sensors or anything else? No, it's going to, before you have live.
Well, they have to constantly monitor it.
Okay.
Well, but that was,
Which is exactly why they're shutting down this left turn lane,
You know, it's a-
before it gets to that point where you.
The timeline where it was pointed out that it was failing, it's just, why wasn't the engineering done a long time ago? I mean,
Yeah,
we're
why
talking
wasn't
about
it
phase
started
1.
2 years
Right,
ago?
should have been started 2 years ago. They knew the bridge was failing, and
Right,
Pam,
so you can get the document pictures of the delaminated beams and cracked beams?
I have them, I will forward them to you.
Please, thank you,
Yes,
yeah.
I will forward them all to you, I have them in email, and the last report shows all of it.
Okay.
And one other, you said they were gonna put permanent, not these
Yeah, I
orange
think-
cones.
No,
Is
yeah,
this
you
gonna
will
be
not
like
be
a
able to.
Jersey wall?
I can't tell you
Like
that. I'll
concrete
find out
wall?
from you guys, but they're actually going to create a situation, a barrier that prevents
That's
anybody
what I'm
from
saying,
getting
doing a
in.
Jersey wall, I mean,
You
you know that's
Put
always
a Jersey wall there, it
problem.
might collapse the bridge.
Yeah, wait.
Right,
Right.
we're not finished with
Right.
exactly how they're planning on closing it down. Let me, I'm trying to see.
Pam got ahold of me this.
they say concrete barrier?
No, they said.
They're actually saying install a center median. They're actually going to install a center median to eliminate the left turn.
The exhibit they sent a little while ago had like, they were like highway use, and they could still be struck at 55 miles an hour. So it was like a large spring with, so when they get hit, they just come right back up. But it was much, I mean, like there was whatever you want to call, like almost like a bump or like a speed bump, right? And then they would go into the speed bump, so you would know that you were hitting something.
Yeah,
And they wouldn't have to keep coming out to replace it.
right, that's not what's going to be there. They're actually saying they're going to be installing a center median. It's right on the notations up there. They're going to install a tough curve, quote unquote, I'm not sure what that is, with delineators on the south side of the double yellow. It's all going to be marked off for no turn.
That's just a temporary thing that can put in, but still.
So we'll get you the details of exactly what that's going to look at as this progresses. We wanted to get you this information as soon as possible so you're aware of it, because you're going to look at the effects.
No Band-Aid repairs they can do or anything like that?
You know,
Did they say anything about getting rid of a CDL truck?
they've talked about additional weight restrictions that they may have to consider putting in place, yes.
Those truckers cause a lot of problems.
But
Are we going to communicate with the village that this is coming?
Pardon me?
Are we going to communicate with our residents that,
Well,
be on the lookout?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we'll communicate with them, we want to just find out more definite information. And Pam contacted me this last week, and, you know, she said, well, this is totally unreasonable, why wasn't it? So she's on our side as far as why it wasn't, and Claudette had, you know, some of the research that Claudette has done through the county board, I don't think, or through the highway department, you know, with that I don't think the county board was even aware of it. So we were telling people, you know, hey, call the county, call the county, and now they're looking into it, because she believes it's unreasonable too. I mean, why wasn't it done when they knew the bridge was deteriorating a couple of years ago? Why wasn't it, the engineering started, why are we starting it now?
My concern is that thing fails.
Yeah,
Oh,
well, yeah.
You're gonna just stop, you're gonna lose your main.
Right.
Trust me, we've impressed
I
upon
mean,
that.
that will affect all emergency fire.
Yeah.
Businesses that use Johnsburg Road up there.
How will Vinnie get to work?
Remote.
Golf cart.
You can go through the valley.
I could.
See, a lot of people do.
So there's no good news for you then, is what you're saying?
No, it's just reality, I guess, but we've stressed to them that you can't take the idea of closing this road down lightly. I mean, it's not, like I said, some rural road that no one hardly uses. And it's not, you know, even when we shared the information with Pam Altoff, we said, this doesn't even just affect Johnsburg. You know, you have to think about all the surrounding
Peter.
communities, the traffic that moves through that intersection.
Buses.
Yeah.
What's McHenry? I mean, everybody going to McHenry is gonna have to go through
We
there.
had the traffic study, correct?
Pardon me?
We had the traffic study they provided,
Yeah. Yeah, I have
What
the
is it, it's like
originality.
10 or 15,000 a day?
11,000.
Yeah.
It is the most on any of their bridges that are on their list, by far, for repair.
Oh, the worst condition.
No, more traffic.
On a
on-
daily basis,
see,
east and
more
west
daily
bound?
trips on this bridge than any of theirs that are on their list.
That's pretty good.
Oh, you know, like Ragged Hills.
How many years was it when they did the roundabout and all the work on that road, redid that whole road? I mean, that bridge must have been failing then, I would think. I mean, it didn't just,
It blacktop it over, yeah.
it just didn't start falling apart. I mean, even in their own reports it says that. That's what's sort of frustrating about it, in my opinion.
So, yeah, unless somebody, I'll share with them the points you guys brought up regarding people having to stop people here coming down the hill and in inclement weather as well. But unless somebody has any objection, I will go back and let them know that I'm assuming you guys would prefer to take the interim step rather than completely closing down that left turn lane. At least see how that goes. You know what, it may be like, oh, the backups are a disaster.
Then they might have to
Do
limit
this.
the trucks.
Yeah.
I mean, if that, right, Rick? That's a good idea.
Mm.
So anyways, but.
I'll raise that point with them as well.
Yeah.
Why wait? Do it now.
And is there any way that engineering can be
Expedited.
expedited? So, I mean, to me, if it takes 2 years to engineer it, or if they can fix the bridge in 6 months, it's crazy. I mean, why does it take longer to do the engineering than it does to fix the bridge? It doesn't make sense to me.
Well, I specifically asked that question. I said, is it the funding issue, or is it the timeline? I mean, you're pushing this off because you just don't have the funds available, and they insist that, no, that is just how long it will take to go through the process. But
Well, we went through that with Walmart. There's probably some turtle, we have a turtle crossing or something. Yeah, there's something like
Some
stinks in
landing
that.
turtle.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Claudia.
Thanks, Claudia.
Good graphic.
Okay. Committee reports. Beth, do you want
Let me kick it off at this end.
it off.
We are kind of formulating, getting some of the nuts and bolts for our, wait for it, Party in the Bird, an adult night out featuring dueling pianos and food trucks. Something like that is going to be our theme, but we're kind of Party in the Bird, playing off of that Burgers in the Bird. So that is, again, slated for August 6th. That's a Friday night. It's a BYOB. Bring your own chair at Rescue Squad Park. We're thinking wristbands are going to be our ticket in. $12 pre-sale tickets, $15 at the gate, and we're kind of finalizing the dueling piano
So
contract.
this is Burgers in the Bird, or this is Party in the Bird?
Party in the Bird instead of Burgers in the Bird. Because we're not really just featuring burgers, we're gonna have the 2 food trucks. So that is what we have planned initially. So we want to get that going. Tickets we want to, if you guys think the wristband is a good idea, we're kind of, some of our concerns are, well, how do we control who has access to the dueling pianos? We thought that would be a really kind of easy way to say, hey, I've got my ticket here, versus show me your ticket or whatever like that.
You mean you'd sell the wristbands ahead of time instead
And at
of a
the gate.
ticket?
Yeah, instead of a ticket, you would get wristbands.
Ahead of time. Pre-sale
Ahead of time
band.
and at the gate that night. But yeah, ideally, we want to try to get a sense of how many tickets, you know, we need to sell at least 150 to break even.
And when is this date, Beth?
August 6th, Friday night. So thoughts on wristbands?
I like it. Sure.
Okay. Tickets can be purchased here at the Village Hall, and we would ask trustees maybe to take a handful that you could sell as well.
Or we get something printed on the wristbands?
Or we have to?
Yes.
We have to.
Yes. Party in
Some
the
way to
Bird.
number them and keep track of them and.
Make sure somebody doesn't
Yeah,
walk by the
we'll
same
cross-reference who we sell them to.
Well, it would, you can label them.
Yeah, you can get them printed with something.
Right.
Yeah.
That is the plan.
Printed, numbered, so we know there are bands.
There was some discussion about access to the food trucks. You know, we want people that are at the event, obviously, to have access first, but we're not necessarily, you know, going to prohibit people just walking down the street from going to the food trucks either. So that's something else, you know, so far we have 2 food trucks scheduled or contracted to be there. We have another third maybe from a funnel cake company to be there as well. So we're going to firm that up. So that's kind of the overview. Some of the beautiful things about it are our liability, of course, will be cut in half because people are going to bring their own, and the food trucks will assume all the liability for food. So that's kind of,
We still have to have the liability, right, Claudette? I mean, we have to
Yeah.
have liability, just like
Not-
if you rent the park, you gotta have liability insurance for.
We're not paying for the Lions Club to serve the alcohol. With the BYOB and not having the alcohol, we're just gonna.
But you're not making money on it either.
We are not.
right.
Big difference. That's where you make the money.
So we asked Jeff to see if the community club would consider opening their bar as well that night.
I guess the big thing is, do they have a thing, a function that night would be the big deal.
We did look into that, and the calendar is free, is open at this point, that could change. So that's the particulars for Party in the Burg. So you guys think it's a great idea to have or a good idea to have the wristbands? $12, $15.
What does that get you?
In?
Get you in.
Okay.
That's it, just access to the entertainment. Well, picnic tables.
So the food trucks you'll pay for,
Food trucks are paid for separately.
that's BYOB.
Mhm. We think it's going to be successful. Some say wildly successful, so we hope that happens. Let me see what else I have here. Oh, update on the Hickory Way fishing pond. There's 2 great rock outcrops out there for fishing now, really exciting. Our Parks Committee we're very thrilled about that. So we just wanted to thank everybody involved in that to make, finally that happened. So we're really excited about that. A couple of dates I just want to put in the radar as far as the village Christmas party goes and the Holiday Magic. We're tentatively scheduling Holiday Magic for the 11th of December, hoping we can get the Clydesdales that we didn't,
Get last year?
couldn't get last year.
So are we moving it around again?
Yeah, and then the village Christmas party would be December 3rd. Becky,
I thought December second.
second?
The third.
No, that's a Thursday.
Friday.
It's a Friday.
Friday the 3rd would be the Christmas
Friday
party.
the 3rd.
And then when are we doing holiday magic?
The following week,
Saturday.
Saturday night, the 11th. So just to put that out there. And then one last thing, last meeting, we had some discussion about the scoreboard at Hiller, and my committee did kind of give their opinions. They weighed in on what they thought they would like to see. And, I don't know, does anybody else have this?
They don't. I can pass one around and bring it up on my computer also.
Actually, I think I have a couple of them here. Anyway, the color scheme, their first request was the Skyhawk blue versus the village blue. They're fine with the village logo in that obvious upper left-hand corner, which is, I think, what the board kind of specified last time, with the Skyhawk on the right side. We're not going to have Skyhawks as the home team, we're just going to have home, and then guests as the visitors. So really the ideal would be the Skyhawk blue. They did adamantly say they didn't want the Richmond Burton maroon, right? But they would consider a silver gray, which is one of our colors too, so that's the recommendation from my committee.
Silver and gray goes to what?
Well,
It's one of our
It's on our
village
it's one of our village colors. Our village colors are actually maroon, and
navy.
it's not in there navy, more of a navy blue and silver. Okay.
So first choice would
The
be,
idea is not to have distinguish between this isn't a school park, it's a village park.
The scoreboard that's out there now, it's white.
is it white?
Well, it's, I feel like white doesn't hold up very well.
There's a few
Is the
different-
scoreboard that's out there now coming down and being replaced?
Yes, it's being replaced. Pending your approval, or village board approval.
Yeah, that scoreboard that's up there now,
Doesn't work?
It works.
It's tricky. I get it to work, but nobody at the school seems to get it to work. It's got light bulbs and.
Did you see that? Yes, it's silver?
Yeah, correct.
So they weighed in, obviously, you know, I kind of told them what we thought, we wanted the village logo in the upper left. We didn't care which way the Skyhawk went. So it'll be home and guests versus Skyhawks and guests. And then up to us really what the main color, the main blue should be. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think we ought to go with the silver. Silver sounds good to me.
Neutral and
I'm fine with silver.
silver?
Yep, that's fine. Then you got that?
So I'll get renderings in regards to the silver and present it at the next board meeting to where you can actually have
That's fine.
eyes on before the decision's made.
With the logos and everything?
With the logos and everything, how you honor it.
You're gonna change your mind again.
Well, it's something you don't want to change your mind after it's done.
That's for sure.
And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Tom?
We just reviewed business districts, just doing our homework. Get ready for people to come to town after the marketing. Got to fill out those business districts. There's a lot of them, that's right.
Kyle?
I have nothing. We're gonna be meeting.
Josh, you probably...
Yeah, we discussed it. Thank you.
Okay, Scott, didn't have a quorum.
We had a meeting, but no quorum, so it was a little tough to get anything done, but we are meeting next Tuesday. Tim Hartman's going to be here to go over some things, Vinnie, and we talked to the people that were missing. Some don't have email and things like that. They haven't had a lot of meetings prior, they said.
It's
It's one of the issues, so pretty
It's been
much.
a weird year, so it's...
So it's been ironed out,
back
and
in
we should be okay. But I did meet with Dave personally. He went on tour, showed me some of the equipment he was looking at. With
The new skid steer.
Skid steer and things like that. And it looks like a positive thing for what he's looking for. And multiple bucket assemblies and just things like that. So it's something he can use in a lot of different areas, so.
For finance, we're gonna meet next Monday, and, glad we came to the end. Everybody's excited, we have the budget coming out, so that's gonna pass out, so if you're very excited to go home tonight, and want to dig into that and start reading it, I appreciate it, and we'll have a presentation in 2 weeks. Put that game, but,
Put that right next to the audit. 147 pages.
You guys got all kinds of good reading.
Oh, my
Think
God.
about it, the budget?
Nothing else to do.
The school's out, right, Beth? Yeah.
yeah, extra reading.
Not Johnsburg.
So if anybody has any questions,
Thursday?
if anybody has any questions, please feel free to contact Claudette, Becky, or myself with any of them in advance too, so we'll have a presentation with Claudette.
Yeah, that would be great, because what we really like to do is have you in a position where when we go through this budget presentation, take action on this budget at the next meeting. So please feel free to schedule an appointment with Becky or I or Greg to go over and talk in detail. This budget contains a lot of projects. We have a lot of exciting things going on, and, we'll get into more details at the presentation, but that
Probably
covers
more
some-
than we have ever had. It's big budget.
Yes, absolutely. Exciting year ahead.
Rick?
Well, the only thing I'd like to tell you is about the fishing time. I think you all would be interested to know that Peter DeBoer, who was a village resident, is the one who did it. He said he'd do it in the day, he did it in the day. Before he had this, he completed the first one. As they were working on the second one, there was people from the neighborhood on the first one fishing before they even got the second one
Oh,
done.
my gosh.
So, I think it was a big hit.
Yeah,
Um,
it is.
He also, as he always does, went around and made the neighbors happy, so I don't think we'll hear any negative from the neighbors. I think everybody's happy, worked out really, really well.
Well, thanks, Rick.
Yeah, well, you guys did it, I'm just saying it happened. The other thing is I just want, as you guys are considering your marketing plan, and there was some talk about the demographics of the area changing. There's a lot of new houses going in what is now Wonder Lake. I believe the other night, the McHenry either permitted or is about to permit 800 apartments right behind
Aldi, 288, 288.
Two-
288, went through the zoning plan, you got approved.
So that's going to bring a lot more people into this area, and the village spent a lot of time and a lot of money when we decided to develop that Route 31 corridor, okay? And then the world ended and we didn't have the growth that we expected. So as you guys are thinking about your marketing plans and everything else, I think it's important to find out from the residents what kind of businesses and stuff they would like into the area. And then when you're developing your marketing plan, maybe try to think about bringing those type of businesses into our business corridor that's still yet undeveloped out there. It would be, and then we've also have several other business corridors, as Tom said, targeted in town. So I think that with the possibility of the new demographics starting, all those things you guys should seriously think about when you're developing your marketing plan of what exactly it is, like, what's your target, what do you want to do? That's a very important step that the village started out when we first started, and it sort of went stagnant. Can't blame it on COVID, but it sort of went stagnant, but now things are coming back. It's something to really think about when you guys are putting your goals together for marketing, in my opinion.
Thank you.
Agreed.
Thanks, Rick. Okay, anything else? Unfinished business? Nothing? Entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by trustee Hagan, second by trustee Foreman. On the roll, trustee Foreman.
Aye.
Trustee Kirk. Trustee Frost. Trustee Hagan. Trustee Letzker. And trustee Kleinstein.
Aye.
Motion carries.